This is probably going to sound strange, but bear with me for a second. You know that feeling where something massive just happened? Because after everything that's been happening in the sky this week, the heaviness, the intensity, the Saturn-Neptune energy that's been asking some pretty uncomfortable questions, today actually has something warm in it. Like genuinely warm. And I don't want it to get lost in the noise of everything else going on, because it's exactly the kind of energy that people miss when they're focused on the dramatic stuff. Today, February 22nd, Venus and Jupiter are making an exact trine. Venus at 15 degrees Pisces, Jupiter retrograde at 15 degrees Cancer. Both of them at the same degree, in water signs in a harmonious 120-degree angle to each other. And here's why that matters in a way that actually affects your day and your week. Venus and Jupiter are the two planets that astrologers have always called the benefics. The two planets that, when they're active in the sky, tend to bring in what you'd actually want: ease, connection, warmth, generosity, a sense that life is actually working in your favor for once. When these two get together in a trine, which is the most flowing, frictionless aspect there is, it's kind of like the universe briefly takes its foot off the brake. Things that have felt stuck can move. Things that have felt cold can warm up. Opportunities that felt just out of reach can suddenly feel accessible. And all of that is happening today, right in the middle of a week that's had some genuinely heavy energy in it. So that's what I want to talk about today. Not the heaviness, we covered that yesterday, but this specific aspect, what it means practically, how it's going to show up in your actual life, and which signs are sitting right in the sweet spot of it. Because if you know how to work with this energy, even just for a day or two, it's worth paying attention to. Before we get into all of it, leave a like and subscribe if this is useful to you, and drop "I'm open to it" in the comments, because that's the energy today is asking for. Okay, let's get into this. Here's something worth understanding about Venus and Jupiter that most people don't fully think about. In traditional astrology, going back centuries, every planet was categorized by whether it was considered malefic or benefic. Malefic planets were Mars and Saturn, the ones associated with friction, challenge, delay, consequence. And the benefics were Venus and Jupiter, the ones whose nature was fundamentally to give, to expand, to open things up. Now that doesn't mean Venus and Jupiter are always easy or consequence-free. Jupiter can overdo things. It expands whatever it touches, including problems. Venus can blur boundaries in relationships or make you want to avoid anything uncomfortable. They have their shadow sides. But at their core, these are the two planets that are wired toward abundance, toward love, toward generosity, toward growth. When they're active, the best versions of those things become more available. And today they're not just active, they're in a trine, which is the aspect of ease, of flow. No friction between them, no tension, no push and pull. Just a clean, harmonious current running between the planet of love and beauty and the planet of expansion and abundance. Both in water signs, Venus in Pisces, where she is literally at her most powerful, at her most open-hearted. Jupiter in Cancer, where he is also exalted, at his most generous, his most emotionally attuned, his most connected to what actually nourishes people rather than just what looks impressive. So you've got two planets that are both at their strongest, both in water signs, both oriented toward the emotional and relational realms of life, making the most harmonious aspect they can make to each other. That's not a minor thing. That's actually a significant window of genuinely good energy. And it lands today at noon Pacific time, meaning it's exact today, and you'll feel it most strongly today and tomorrow. The question is just, are you in a position to receive it? Because good transits don't automatically hand you things. They create conditions, they open doors. But you still have to walk through. Let me make this concrete, because I think astrology is only useful when it actually connects to what you're experiencing. Venus trine, Jupiter in water signs. What does that feel like on the ground? The most obvious place you'll notice it is in your interactions with people. There's a warmth to things today that hasn't been as available this week. Conversations that might have gone sideways or felt loaded tend to soften under this aspect. The generosity that Pisces and Cancer both naturally carry gets amplified. You're more likely to give people the benefit of the doubt, more likely to lead with kindness instead of guardedness, and people around you are more likely to do the same. For some of you, this shows up as a relationship moment, something that's been tense getting a little easier, something that's been unsaid finally getting said in a way that actually lands, a connection that's been at arm's length moving a little closer. That's Venus trine Jupiter. In water signs, emotional barriers coming down, not dramatically, but gently. Not because anyone forced them, but because the warmth of the aspect makes it feel safer to be real. For others, it's going to show up more in the creative or financial realm. Venus rules both love and money and beauty. Jupiter rules expansion and opportunity. When they trine, creative projects can get a lift, especially anything that requires you to put yourself out there or share something personal. Financial opportunities can emerge more easily, not in a lottery way, but in a right conversation happened at the right moment kind of way. If you've been sitting on something you want to share or offer, today is genuinely one of the better days in a while to do it. And for some of you, it's more internal than external. It shows up as a brief return of hope, of feeling like things might actually be okay, of getting a little distance from the weight that's been sitting on your chest this week and remembering that your life actually has some real good in it. That sounds simple, but honestly, in a week that's had some genuinely heavy transits, that shift in inner weather is worth noticing and worth leaning into. The thing about Venus-Jupiter trines is that they don't stick around long. This is an aspect that perfects over the course of a day or two and then moves on. It's not like Saturn building a slow square that lasts for weeks, so the window is real, and it's now. Use it for whatever needs some warmth in your life right now. To really understand what today's trine is doing, you have to understand where Venus is coming from. She moved into Pisces on February 10th, and Pisces is the one sign in the entire zodiac where Venus is exalted. That word gets used a lot in astrology without explanation, so let me break it down. When a planet is exalted in a sign, it means the sign brings out that planet's qualities in their purest and most elevated form. It's not just that Venus functions well in Pisces, it's that the combination of Venus's nature and Pisces' energy produces something that neither could achieve alone. Venus is already about love, beauty, harmony, connection. Pisces is about transcendence, compassion, the dissolving of the ego in service of something larger. Put those together and you get a kind of love that isn't small or self-serving. It's the love that can hold someone in their worst moment and not flinch. The love that forgives not because it's strategically wise to forgive, but because at some deep level it understands that separateness is an illusion anyway. That sounds big, and it is, but it shows up in small ways. In the capacity to listen to someone without immediately making it about yourself. In the impulse to reach out to someone you've been thinking about without waiting for a reason. In the ability to appreciate beauty in art, in nature, in people, with an openness that doesn't feel the need to analyze or categorize it. Venus in Pisces makes you more porous in a good way, more receptive, more willing to be moved. The shadow of this is the same porousness but pointed in the wrong direction, absorbing other people's pain to the point of losing your own equilibrium or loving someone so selflessly that you forget to check whether the love is actually good for you. That's worth watching. But in the context of today's trine with Jupiter, the shadow is somewhat contained, because Jupiter in Cancer brings wisdom about emotional nourishment, what actually feeds you versus what depletes you. That's a useful counterbalance to Pisces' tendency toward boundlessness. So Venus as she is right now, exalted, open, in her most compassionate and unconditional mode, is the one reaching across the sky to Jupiter today. And what she's asking for, and what Jupiter is giving her, is expansion, more of this. The bigger container for love, for creativity, for connection. More room to feel and express what Pisces already wants to express. On the other side of this trine is Jupiter in Cancer, and Jupiter in Cancer has its own particular quality that's worth understanding, especially since this is where Jupiter's been living since June of last year. Jupiter won't leave Cancer until late June 2026, so this placement has been a long-running theme in the background of everything this year. Jupiter in Cancer is, like Venus in Pisces, an exaltation. Jupiter is literally at his strongest in Cancer. Jupiter in its home sign of Sagittarius is bold, philosophical, expansive in an upward-reaching way. It goes wide. Jupiter in Cancer goes deep. It expands the inner world, the emotional life, the sense of home and belonging, the connection to family and roots. The abundance it brings isn't necessarily material abundance, though it can be. It's more often emotional abundance, a richness of feeling, a fullness of connection, a sense of being held and supported. Jupiter in Cancer also tends to expand whatever you've been growing within yourself. The emotional work you've been doing, the healing, the understanding of old patterns, Jupiter in Cancer makes that work more fruitful. It's like a grow light for your inner development. Things that would have taken longer without this placement tend to move faster. Insights come more readily. The capacity to feel and process expands. And Jupiter is retrograde right now, which means his energy is turned inward. The outward expression of Jupiter's expansion, the new opportunities, the lucky breaks, the external growth is more muted during the retrograde, but the internal version is amplified. This is Jupiter reviewing, deepening, revisiting things that need more attention before they can fully flourish. So even in today's beautiful trine with Venus, the expansion you feel is more likely to happen inside you first. A shift in how you feel about something. A return of warmth towards someone or something you'd been cold about. A remembering of what you actually love before you figure out what to do about it. Now let's talk about who's sitting right in the sweet spot of this aspect. The Venus-Jupiter trine is running through water signs, Pisces and Cancer. That means if you have significant placements in water signs, you're going to feel this most directly. For Pisces, this is Venus in your own sign trining Jupiter. The warmth, the generosity, the emotional expansion, all of that is lighting up your first house, your identity, your sense of self. If you've been feeling depleted or invisible or like you've been giving without receiving lately, and a lot of Pisces placements have been, because Pisces season often brings more demand on your empathy than it returns, today has something for you. Let people be generous toward you today. Practice receiving rather than always being the one who gives. The trine is pouring into you directly, and your only job is not to deflect it. For Cancer, Jupiter is in your sign, and Venus is trining it from Pisces. This is your ruling planet's best friend visiting and bringing out the most generous side of everything Jupiter has been doing in your chart since June. Depending on your rising, this trine is lighting up your 5th house of creativity and romance, your 9th house of adventure and meaning, or some other area that has been quietly waiting for this kind of warm activation. Pay attention to what opens up today or tomorrow in those areas of your life. Opportunities involving creative expression, romantic connection, or a learning or travel situation you'd been hoping for can emerge with an ease that surprises you. Trust it. Not every good thing requires struggle to earn it. For Scorpio, you're the 3rd water sign, and this trine is forming across your 5th and 9th houses if Scorpio is your rising, the houses of creative expression, romance, adventure, philosophy, and everything you believe the future could look like. This is genuinely one of the better windows in a while for anything that involves putting your authentic self forward. Sharing creative work, being more visible and honest in a relationship, making a pitch or offer that requires some personal exposure. The aspect supports that kind of courage in a way that means the courage won't cost you as much as it usually does. When the environment is warm, it's easier to be seen. For Taurus and Capricorn, the earth signs, you're in harmonious sextile territory with this Venus-Jupiter water trine. Not quite as direct as the water signs, but still genuinely favorable. Taurus especially, since Venus is your ruling planet. When Venus is powerful and beautifully aspected like she is today, you feel that in your bones. Today can bring a quiet material or relational ease that Taurus specifically knows how to appreciate. Something that just works. A financial moment that flows. A conversation in a relationship that feels easy and good. Capricorn might notice it showing up in their professional life. Something softening, an opportunity that didn't require the usual amount of grinding to access. For Aries and Libra and the other cardinal signs, the trine is activating your chart in areas that depend on your rising, but the general warmth of the aspect is available to everyone. It just shows up differently. Aries might feel it as a moment of unexpected generosity from someone, or a sudden ease in a situation that had felt tense. Libra, as Venus's home sign, always feels Venus's good days, and today Libra might experience an unusual harmony in a relationship, or a creative idea that arrives almost fully formed. And for Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, Aquarius, the signs that are more removed from the water trine angle, you'll still feel the collective mood shift that this aspect creates. Even when a transit doesn't directly aspect your personal chart, the overall weather changes. A Venus-Jupiter trine lifts the collective vibe in a way that's noticeable even to people it doesn't directly touch. It's a little like the whole neighborhood having a good day. Even if the thing that made it good wasn't specifically about you, you still feel the warmth of the people around you being in a better mood. Now here's the other thing I want to talk about today, because it's actually really significant in a practical way. Mercury is at about 22 degrees Pisces right now, and it's 4 days away from going retrograde on February 26th, which means it's slowing down dramatically. Mercury is moving so slowly right now that it's barely crawling through the zodiac, and that has a specific feel to it. When Mercury is almost stationary like this, the part of your life that Mercury governs, communication, thought, information processing, how your mind puts things together, that part slows down too. Not in a broken or frustrating way, but in a way that's actually worth working with. Your mind, which normally moves pretty quickly from thought to thought, from input to output, tends to linger more, to sit with things, to turn ideas over more slowly. And in Pisces, that slow, lingering mind is sitting in the most impressionistic, intuitive sign in the zodiac. What this produces is something interesting, a kind of deep listening. Not listening to other people necessarily, though that too, but listening to yourself. To the quieter layers of your own thinking that usually get drowned out by the speed of everything. The thought you almost had before the next thought arrived. The half-formed thing that keeps wanting to surface. Mercury nearly stationary in Pisces is a remarkable moment for that kind of listening, if you slow down enough to actually do it. And paired with the Venus-Jupiter trine today, what you're getting is this: a warm, generous, emotional environment, and a mind that's moving slowly enough to actually absorb and appreciate it. That combination is genuinely rare. Usually there's a disconnect. The heart opens and the mind rushes past it, or the mind is quiet, but the emotional environment is too heavy to feel genuinely warm. Today, both things are in alignment. Slow mind, warm heart. It's actually worth pausing and appreciating that. Practically, this also means a few things. 1. If you have a conversation that matters today, take your time with it. Let the pauses breathe. Don't fill the silence just to fill it. Mercury, almost stationary in Pisces, means some of the most important things being communicated right now are between the words, not in them. 2. If you're trying to figure something out mentally and you keep not getting there, stop trying. The answer, under Mercury in Pisces slowing to a halt, is more likely to arrive through feeling it out than thinking it through. 3. Pay attention to what keeps coming back. A thought, a name, an idea that resurfaces even after you've moved away from it. Mercury stationary means certain things are just not moving on yet. There's a reason. I want to be specific about this because I think there's a real opportunity in today's energy that's easy to miss if you're not paying attention. The Venus-Jupiter trine is exact around noon Pacific time, which means the whole day today and into tomorrow morning is when this energy is at its peak. Here's what I'd actually suggest doing with it. First, reach out to someone. Not with an agenda, not to resolve something complicated, just to connect. Venus trine, Jupiter in water signs, is one of the best transits of the year for genuine warmth between people, and it works in both directions. If there's someone you've been thinking about who you haven't talked to in a while, this is a genuinely favorable moment to change that. The aspect supports the exchange being warm and received well. Second, if you have any creative or financial conversations or decisions that have been waiting, today and tomorrow are genuinely better days than average for them. Venus rules what we value and what we attract. Jupiter expands it. In trine together, this is an aspect where things can open up in those areas with less effort than usual. Don't force it, but don't ignore it either. Third, do something beautiful. That sounds vague, but I mean it practically. Pisces and Cancer are both signs that respond to sensory and emotional pleasure. Cook something good. Spend time near water. Put on music that actually moves you. Create something, even something small. Venus trine. Jupiter in water signs is asking for some version of that, and the more you engage with it on its own terms, warmth, beauty, connection, sensory pleasure, the more you feel what the aspect has to offer. Fourth, write something down. With Mercury slowing to a near stop in Pisces and your mind naturally going deeper and quieter, things that surface today have a particular quality to them. The insight that arrives during a Mercury station tends to be one worth keeping. It might be something about a relationship, something about what you actually want, something about a creative direction. Don't let it slip by because you thought you'd remember it. Write it down. And fifth, be honest. Not in a confrontational way, but in a Venus in Pisces way, which is softly and with genuine care. Say the true thing rather than the polished thing. Let your actual warmth show rather than the managed version of it. Today is one of those rare days where the emotional environment is genuinely safe enough to be real, and the cost of holding back is higher than the cost of opening up. I want to zoom out for a second because I think it helps to see where today fits in the larger shape of what this week is doing. Earlier this week, the sky was carrying the Saturn-Neptune conjunction energy, the heaviness, the reality check, the dissolving of certain illusions about yourself or your life. That's real and important and worth sitting with. But the universe is not only heavy, it doesn't only strip things away. And today is the evidence of that. February 22nd brings this Venus-Jupiter trine, warmth, expansion, connection, creative flow. It's almost like the universe is saying, yes, there's hard work to do. Yes, some things needed to get honest. But here's also this. Here's also the reason. Here's the reminder that the thing being built through all the Saturn discipline and Neptune dissolving, it has love in it. It has abundance in it. It's not just about what's being cleared away. It's about what that clearing makes room for. That sequence is actually really important to understand. Saturn-Neptune removing what wasn't real. Then Venus-Jupiter arriving to show you what is. It's not two separate things happening in the same week by coincidence. It's a progression. And then Mercury goes retrograde on February 26th, which is a longer conversation that I'll get into in the next video. But what's worth knowing now is that from today through Mercury stationing, you're in a window where things can be said and heard and felt clearly before the retrograde starts adding its characteristic complications to communication. So if there's something you've been needing to say, today and tomorrow are genuinely good days for it. Both because of the Venus-Jupiter warmth making people more receptive, and because Mercury is still technically direct, even if barely moving. Take this week as a whole, and what you get is, clear some things out, receive some warmth, then go inward. That's actually a coherent sequence. The conjunction cleaned house emotionally. The trine offers something to fill that space. And then Mercury retrograde asks you to go inward and really absorb what happened. It's not random, it's a progression. and February 22nd today is the middle of that progression. The breath in between the weight of the conjunction and the inwardness of the retrograde. Take it seriously, because it won't be here long. One more thing on the bigger picture worth saying. This particular Venus-Jupiter trine, with both planets in their signs of exaltation in water signs, is one of the more genuinely beautiful aspects of the entire year. Not just this week, the whole year. It doesn't repeat in this configuration. Jupiter will leave Cancer in late June and move into Leo, and Venus will have long since moved on. So the combination of Venus, exalted in Pisces trining Jupiter, exalted in Cancer, is something that only exists in the specific narrow window of early 2026. The rarity of it is worth honoring rather than rushing past. If there's one thing I want you to carry out of this video, it's this. Today is genuinely one of the warmer days in what's been a pretty intense stretch of sky. That warmth is real, it's available, and it doesn't require you to do anything complicated to access it. Just be a little more open than usual, a little more generous, a little more willing to receive what's being offered. The Venus-Jupiter trine doesn't ask for effort, it asks for openness. And Mercury, nearly stationary in Pisces, doesn't ask for more thinking, it asks for more listening. Together, those two things create an environment where something real can happen between you and another person, or between you and your own deeper knowing, if you're willing to slow down enough to let it. And I'll be honest with you, after the kind of energy that's been moving through this week, there's something really valuable about a day that just feels a little better. That doesn't mean ignore the hard stuff or pretend the difficult realizations didn't happen. It means let this warmth coexist with all of that. Let today be the evidence that even in the middle of real change, real growth, there are moments that are just genuinely good. That's not naive. That's actually the whole point. The hard work is in service of moments like this. The clearing is so there's room for this. Receive it without guilt, without rushing past it, without deciding you don't deserve it yet. That's the opportunity of February 22nd. Not dramatic, not a lightning bolt. Just a genuine window of warmth in the middle of a significant week. And those are sometimes more valuable than the dramatic moments because they remind you what all the difficult work is actually for. If this resonated, leave a like and subscribe for more, and drop "I'm open to it" in the comments. I want to see who's working with this energy today. Take care of yourself, and I'll catch you in the next one.